Morning light cut through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Beverly Hills mansion, painting golden streaks across Italian marble. Maria Chen stood in the kitchen, coffee mug warming her hands, watching steam spiral into nothing. 2 years married to Daniel Wright. 2 years living with a stranger who happened to be her husband. 2 years of polite distance and expensive gifts that meant nothing. The house was a museum of wealth. Priceless art, designer furniture, views of Los Angeles glittering below. But beauty meant nothing when you shared it with a ghost. Daniel had never touched her. Not really. A formal kiss at their courthouse wedding. Handshakes at business dinners. Nothing more? Maria opened her laptop, losing herself in design work. She was creating a wellness app, crafting peaceful interfaces for others while living in her own beautiful prison. The irony stung. "Good morning, Mrs. Wright." Grace, the housekeeper, entered with white roses. "These just arrived." "For Mr. Wright, I assume?" Maria barely glanced up. "Put them with the others." Every Monday, flowers. Every month, expensive gifts. All chosen by his assistant. All meaningless. Mr. Wright left before sunrise again. Grace continued, arranging the roses. "He didn't eat breakfast." Nadia nodded. She knew his routine by heart. Wake at 5, gym, shower, leave by 7. Return at 8. Dinner alone in his study. They were strangers passing in hallways. After Grace left for errands, silence pressed against Maria's skin. She wandered through empty rooms, her footsteps echoing. She stopped at Daniel's study door. The handle turned, unlocked. She shouldn't enter. She knew that, but something pulled her inside. The study was exactly like him. Dark wood, leather chairs, everything controlled. Perfect. Her fingers traced the bookshelf behind his desk. One section sat slightly crooked. She pulled gently. It swung open. Inside, a worn leather folder. Maria's hands trembled as she opened it. Emails, printed and saved. Between her father and Daniel. All dated months before their marriage. Her father's words made her stomach drop. "Daniel, if you agree to marry Maria, I will transfer 40% of Chen Industries shares to you. The board will support your takeover. You will have full control when I retire." Maria's breath caught. She forced herself to keep reading. Daniel's response was clinical. Cold. "Robert, I accept the terms. The marriage will benefit both families. Maria will have financial security, and I will expand my holdings. I suggest we keep the financial details confidential." The date. 3 weeks before her father died. 3 weeks before she learned about his crushing debts. 3 weeks before, Daniel appeared like a savior, offering marriage as a solution. But it was never about saving her. Her father had sold her. Daniel had bought. A business transaction. Nothing more. There were more documents. A contract detailing share transfers, business mergers, provisions for her father's death at the bottom. Daniel's signature. Firm. Confident. No hesitation. Maria read everything 3 times, hoping she had misunderstood. But the truth was black and white, undeniable. She carefully returned the documents, closed the hidden compartment, and left the study. The mansion felt different now. The beautiful rooms were a cage. The expensive art was bought with her dignity. She wasn't a wife, she was an investment. That afternoon, Maria met her best friend Jennifer at their usual cafe. "What happened?" Jennifer asked immediately. "You look devastated." Maria told her everything. The hidden compartment, the emails, the contract. Her voice remained steady, but her hands shook around her coffee cup. "That bastard," Jennifer breathed. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." Maria stared at nothing. "Part of me wants to confront him. But what's the point? We both know what this marriage really is." Jennifer leaned forward. "Is that the only reason you're hesitating?" Maria's silence answered. "Oh no," Jennifer whispered. "Please tell me you haven't fallen for him." "I haven't fallen for him," Maria said too quickly. "But lately, things have been different. He's been coming home earlier, asking about my day. Last week, He brought flowers himself. 3 nights ago, he looked at me and said he was glad I was here. Not because of business. Just because. Maria. I thought maybe we could build something real. Start over. But how can I trust anything now? You can't, Jennifer said firmly. He profited from your grief. That's not something you overlook. That evening, Maria returned home before Daniel. She sat in her room, the knowledge burning in her chest. Her phone buzzed. Daniel's text. Are you home? I brought dinner from that Italian place you mentioned. Thought we could eat together? Maria stared at the message. Before she could respond, she heard his footsteps in the hallway. A soft knock on her door. Maria? His voice was different, uncertain. Can we talk? Her heart hammered. She stood, walked to the door, and opened it. Daniel stood there in his perfectly tailored suit, holding takeout bags, looking at her with an expression she had never seen before. Something raw, something vulnerable. I need to tell you something, he said quietly. Something I should have told you 2 years ago. Maria's pulse thundered in her ears. Daniel stood in her doorway, takeout bags in hand, looking more uncertain than she had ever seen him. Come in, she heard herself say. They sat at the small table by her window. Daniel set out containers of pasta, but neither touched the food. The sun was setting, painting the room in shades of amber and shadow. I don't know where to start, Daniel said. His voice rough. Try the beginning. Maria's tone was harder than she intended. He looked at her sharply. You're angry? Should I be? Silence stretched between them. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, disrupting his usual perfect appearance. Your father came to me 3 months before he died, he began. He was desperate. His company was drowning in debt he'd hidden from everyone, including you. He knew he was sick, though he didn't tell anyone that either. His heart was failing. Maria's chest tightened, but she said nothing. He offered me a deal. Marry you, get controlling shares in both companies, and in return, I'd clear all his debts and make sure you were financially secure forever. Daniel's jaw clenched. It was a good business opportunity. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. So you took it. Her voice was flat. I took it, he admitted. But Maria, you have to understand what? That I was a convenient acquisition? That my father sold me like property and you bought me like a stock option? Daniel flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Daniel? Explain it to me. He stood abruptly, pacing to the window. His shoulders were rigid, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. I was going to say no, he said quietly. The whole thing felt wrong. I'd built my company myself. I didn't need your father's shares, but then he showed me your picture. Maria's breath caught, kept it in his wallet. You were laughing at something, sitting in a garden somewhere. You looked so alive. So real, Daniel's voice dropped. He said you were brilliant, kind, that you deserved better than watching everything fall apart when he died. And I thought, maybe I could give you that. Maybe this arrangement could work for both of us. How noble, Maria said bitterly. Daniel turned to face her. I know how it sounds, but I'm trying to be honest with you. For the first time, I'm being completely honest. Why now? Why, after 2 years of treating me like a stranger? His eyes held hers. Because I'm falling in love with you, and I don't know what to do about it. The words hung in the air between them. Maria's heart slammed against her ribs. You're lying. I'm not. You don't even know me. I know you take your coffee black, but add cream when you're stressed. I know you hum while you work. I know you donate half your design fees to charity. I know you're kind to Grace, even when you're hurting. I know you're brilliant and strong and everything I don't deserve. Maria stood, her hands trembling. Stop. Maria. Stop. Her voice cracked. You don't get to do this. You don't get to buy me, ignore me for 2 years, and then suddenly decide you have feelings. That's not how this works. Then tell me how it works, Daniel said, stepping closer. Tell me what I'm supposed to do with this. Because I've tried ignoring it. I've tried staying away. But every time I see you, every time I hear your voice, I want more. I want to know you. I want to be near you. I want things I gave up the right to want when I signed those papers. You want? Maria repeated. What about what I want? What do you want? The question hung between them, heavy and dangerous. Maria's mind raced. She wanted to hate him. She wanted to throw the truth in his face, to tell him she'd found the documents and knew everything. But something stopped her. Maybe it was the rawness in his eyes. Maybe it was the way her heart betrayed her every time he looked at her like this. Maybe it was 2 years of loneliness finally cracking open. I want the truth, she said finally. All of it. No more secrets. I just gave you the truth, did you? She took a step closer. Or are you still holding something back? Daniel's expression shifted. Uncertainty flickered across his face. There's something else, he admitted. Something I found out after your father died. What? Your father had another reason for wanting this marriage. He knew about my family's history. He knew my father had tried to steal from Chen Industries 20 years ago and failed. This was his revenge. Getting me to marry you meant the companies merged under my name, but the board would always see it as a Chen taking back what was stolen. What are you saying? I'm saying your father manipulated both of us. Maria sat alone in the gathering darkness, her mind spinning. Everything was more complicated than she'd imagined. More painful. More real. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Mrs. Wright, we need to meet. I have information about your father's death that you need to know. Information Daniel is hiding from you. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Griffith Park. Come alone. Maria's blood turned to ice. Maria sat on a bench in Griffith Park, morning fog rolling through the trees. Her hands were ice despite the cough. He made me think I was saving you, but really. He was using his death to force a merger he couldn't achieve in life. And he made sure you'd inherit everything through me, but only if we stayed married. Maria felt the room tilt. So even my inheritance is tied to this marriage? Not just yours. Mine too. There's a clause in his will. If we divorce within 5 years, everything goes to charity. Both companies, all the assets, everything. Oh my God. Maria sank into her chair. So you're trapped too. We're both trapped, Daniel said softly. But Maria, I swear to you, that's not why I'm here right now. That's not why I'm telling you how I feel. The money doesn't matter to me anymore. How can I believe that? Because 3 months ago I contacted my lawyers. I told them to find a way to break the agreement. I was willing to give up everything, all the shares, all the control, just to set you free. But then what? Then I realized I didn't want to lose you. His voice broke. I realized that somewhere in these 2 years, you became the only real thing in my life. Maria stared at him, tears burning her eyes. Everything she thought she knew was unraveling. Her father's last act wasn't mercy. It was manipulation. Daniel wasn't just a cold businessman. He was as trapped as she was, and he was standing in front of her, offering something that terrified her more than betrayal. Hope. I need time, she whispered. I need to think. Take all the time you need, Daniel said. But Maria, please believe this. Whatever happens next, whatever you decide, I won't stop you. If you want to leave, I'll find a way to break the contract. I'll give up everything if it means you're free.
Ow.
He moved toward the door, then stopped. I brought your favorite dessert. Tiramisu from Bella Roma. It's in the kitchen. A small sad smile crossed his face. I've been paying attention, even when you thought I wasn't. He left, closing the door softly behind him. Fee cup, she clutched. 10 minutes past the meeting time. No one had approached. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe she should leave. Mrs. Wright.
Oh, Maria?
Maria turned. A woman in her 50s stood behind her, elegant in a navy suit, her dark hair pulled into a severe bun. Recognition flickered. This woman had been at their wedding. I'm Catherine Lynn, the woman said, sitting without invitation. I was your father's attorney. His real attorney, not the one who read the public will. What do you want? To show you what your husband has been hiding. Catherine pulled a manila folder from her bag. Your father didn't die of a heart attack. Not naturally. Maria's breath stopped. What are you talking about? His medication was switched 3 weeks before he died. Someone replaced his heart medication with placebos. Without his real medication, His condition deteriorated rapidly. The heart attack was induced. The world tilted. That's impossible. Who would Daniel Wright have the means, the motive, and the opportunity? Catherine opened the folder, revealing pharmacy records and investigative reports. Your father was going to back out of the deal. He'd met someone else willing to save the company without requiring a marriage. Daniel would have lost everything. No, Maria shook her head. You're lying. These are pharmacy records showing the prescription was filled at a location Daniel owns. Security footage shows someone matching his description picking it up. Catherine's voice was clinical. And this is your father's real will, written 1 week before he died. In it, he terminated the marriage agreement and left everything to you directly. Maria stared at the documents, her vision blurring. Why are you telling me this now? Because I made a promise to your father. If anything happened to him, I was to give you the truth. But I had to wait until you were ready to hear it. Until you had reason to question Daniel's version of events. This can't be real. I have copies of everything. I've given them to a detective. If you want to pursue charges, you have grounds for a murder investigation. Catherine stood. But I'll give you a choice. You can walk away with this information and divorce him, taking what's rightfully yours. Or you can go to the police. Either way, Daniel Wright has been lying to you from the beginning. Catherine left the folder on the bench and walked away, disappearing into the fog. Maria sat frozen, staring at the documents. Images of Daniel's face last night, raw and vulnerable. His confession. His claim that he was falling in love with her. All lies? She grabbed the folder and drove home, her mind a storm. The mansion felt different now, sinister. Every perfect detail suddenly looked like evidence of guilt she found. Daniel in his study working at his computer. He looked up, his face brightening when he saw her. Maria, I didn't expect you back so early. I was hoping we could. Did you kill my father? The words dropped like stones. Daniel's face went white. What? Maria threw the folder on his desk. Papers scattered. Catherine Lynn came to see me. She has evidence. Pharmacy records. Security footage. A will my father wrote terminating your agreement. Maria, listen to me now. Her voice cracked. You listen. Did you switch his medication? Did you murder him so you could have everything? Daniel stood slowly, his hands raised like she was a spooked animal. I didn't kill your father. I swear to you I didn't. Then explain the evidence. Explain why the pharmacy records have your name. Explain the footage. Someone is setting me up. His voice was desperate. Catherine Lynn has been trying to destroy me for years. She was in love with your father. When he chose this arrangement over her advice, she became obsessed with revenge. That's convenient. It's the truth. Daniel moved around the desk. Maria, think about it. If I wanted your father dead, why would I use a pharmacy with my name? Why would I be so obvious? This is exactly what she wants, to turn you against me. Maybe you didn't expect to get caught. I didn't do this. He reached for her hands, but she pulled away. Please, you have to believe me. Why should I believe anything you say? You married me for business? You've been lying to me for 2 years. How do I know this isn't just another manipulation? Daniel's face hardened. Fine. You want the complete truth? Here it is. I did go to that pharmacy. Not to switch your father's medication, but to pick up my own prescription for anxiety medication. I've been dealing with panic attacks since my brother died 5 years ago. I kept it secret because I didn't want anyone to know. The timestamp on that footage, it's from 2 months before your father died. Maria froze. You have anxiety? Severe, especially in social situations. Why do you think I avoid events? Why do you think I work from home so much? It's not because I don't want to see you. It's because some days I can barely function. Show me the prescription. It's in my bathroom. I'll get it. He left the study. Maria stood among the scattered papers, her mind reeling. Could Catherine be lying? Could someone really be framing Daniel? But then her eyes caught something. A paper half hidden under the desk. She picked it up. It was a letter. In her father's handwriting. Daniel, I've changed my mind. The marriage cannot happen. I've found another way. Meet me tomorrow, and we'll discuss terminating our agreement. RC. The date. 2 days before her father died, Daniel returned with a prescription bottle. His face went pale when he saw what she was holding. Maria, he tried to back out. Her voice was hollow. 2 days before he died, he tried to end the deal. Yes, and you met him? Yes, and 2 days later he was dead. Daniel closed his eyes. I know how this looks. How it looks. Maria's laugh was brittle. It looks like my father tried to save me, and you killed him to keep your investment. That's not what happened. Then what did happen in that meeting? Daniel was silent for too long. He was scared, he finally said. He told me the other buyer was dangerous. Someone involved in money laundering. He wanted my help getting out of that deal safely. I agreed to help him. I was going to tear up our contract and find another way to save his company. But before we could meet again, he died. If that's true, why didn't you tell me? Because I had no proof. And I knew how it would look. I knew you'd think exactly what you're thinking now. Maria backed toward the door. I can't do this. I can't be here. Please don't leave. Not like this. Give me one reason to stay. One real reason to believe you. Daniel's jaw clenched. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call. Peter, it's Daniel. I need you to release the security footage. All of it. From my house, my office, everywhere. For the 3 weeks before Robert Chen died, he paused. I know what it means. Do it anyway. Send everything to Maria's email. He hung up, meeting her eyes. That footage will show I was never at your father's house during the time his medication would have been switched. It will show my exact movements every day. If I'm guilty, it will prove it. If I'm innocent, you'll see that too. Why would you do that? Because I love you more than I love protecting myself. His voice broke. And if the only way to prove that is to hand you evidence that could destroy me, then that's what I'll do. Maria's phone buzzed. Email notification. Files downloading. She looked at Daniel. Standing in the wreckage of his study, offering her the power to annihilate him. There's something else you need to know, he said quietly. The will Catherine showed you. It's fake. I had it examined by forensic experts last year when she first tried to blackmail me with it. The signatures don't match. The paper dates to after your father's death. She fabricated it. How do I know that's not a lie? Because I have the forensic reports in my safe. I'll give them to you. I'll give you everything. Every document. Every secret. Every piece of information I have. And then you can decide what to believe. Maria's hand shook. If you're innocent, why did you hide all this? Because I'm not innocent of everything. Daniel's eyes were raw. I manipulated the situation after your father died. I used your grief. I took advantage of your vulnerability. Even if I didn't kill him, I profited from his death. I've been trying to make that right ever since, but I don't know how. The truth was a knife between them, complex, messy. Nothing was black and white. Maria's phone buzzed again. The security footage had finished downloading. I need to go through everything, she said. Alone, I understand. She turned to leave, then stopped. If I find out you're lying about any of this, there won't be a conversation. There won't be a chance to explain. I'll be gone, and you'll never see me again. I know. His voice was barely a whisper. But Maria, I promise you, when you see the truth, you'll know I'm not lying about the one thing that matters. What's that? That I love you. And I'll do anything to prove it. Maria spent 3 days locked in her room, going through every document, every frame of security footage, every piece of evidence. She barely slept, barely ate. The truth revealed itself in fragments, each one reshaping her understanding. The security footage was clear. Daniel had never been to her father's house in the weeks before his death. His movements were accounted for. Every meeting, every location. Time-stamped and verified, the forensic reports on the will were legitimate. Catherine's document was a forgery. The paper, the ink, the signature, all fabricated. But there was something else in the footage. Something Daniel probably didn't know she'd see. A meeting. 2 weeks before her father died. Daniel, and a private investigator in a coffee shop. Daniel, sliding an envelope across the table. The investigator nodding. Maria tracked down the investigator's name from the footage. Made a call? This is about Daniel, right? She said when he answered. I need to know what he hired you for 2 years ago. Silence. I have a right to know, the investigator sighed. He hired me to investigate your father. To find out who the other buyer was? The one involved in money laundering? Did you find out? Yeah, it was bad. Really bad. I gave Mr. Wright the information, and he took it to the FBI. The investigation is still ongoing. I can't tell you more than that. Maria hung up, her hands shaking. Daniel had been trying to protect her father. He'd involved federal authorities. He'd been telling the truth. But Catherine Lynn still needed to be confronted. Maria tracked her to a downtown office building. Walked in without an appointment. Mrs. Wright looked up from her desk, surprised. I didn't expect to see you again so soon. You lied to me, Maria said flatly. The will is a forgery. Daniel has proof. Catherine's expression didn't change. Did he also show you proof that he didn't switch the medication? He didn't need to. The security footage shows he was never at my father's house. Footage can be edited, not this footage. I had it independently verified. Maria stepped closer. Why are you doing this? What do you want? Catherine stood slowly. I want justice for Robert. He was a brilliant man who made one fatal mistake. Trusting Daniel Wright? You were in love with him. I was his friend. His confidant. I knew him better than anyone. Catherine's voice hardened. And I know Daniel manipulated him. Maybe he didn't switch the medication himself. Maybe he hired someone. But your father's death benefited him more than anyone. You can't accept that my father made his own choices. Bad choices. Desperate choices. But his choices. He wouldn't have made those choices if Daniel hadn't presented the option. Maria understood then. Catherine's grief had twisted into something ugly. She needed someone to blame. Someone to punish. My father died of a broken system and his own poor decisions, Maria said quietly. Not because of Daniel. And fabricating evidence doesn't honor his memory. It destroys it. You're defending the man who bought you. No, I'm defending the truth. Maria turned to leave, then stopped. Stay away from us. If you contact me again, I'll file charges for harassment and forgery. She left Catherine standing in silence. Back at the mansion, Maria found Daniel in the living room. He looked terrible, exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. The footage checked out, she said without preamble. You were telling the truth. Relief flooded his face. Maria, but there's something I need to know. Something I found in your study before any of this started. Understanding dawned in his eyes. The contract. You found the original contract. Yes, Daniel nodded slowly. How long have you known? Since the day before you tried to tell me the truth? I found the hidden compartment. I read everything. Every cold, calculated word. Then you know exactly what this marriage started as. Maria sat across from him. But I also know what you did after. The investigator, the FBI, you tried to save my father even after you knew he wanted out of the deal. I couldn't let him get involved with criminals, no matter what it meant for the business arrangement. Why? Because he was your father? And I already cared about you more than I wanted to admit. The confession hung between them. Daniel, I need you to understand something. Maria's voice was steady. I can forgive the business arrangement. I can even forgive you profiting from my father's death. What I can't forgive is 2 years of distance. 2 years of making me feel like I wasn't worth knowing. I thought I was protecting you. From what? From me, Daniel's voice cracked. I didn't want you to develop feelings for someone who'd entered your life through manipulation. I thought if I stayed away, you could eventually move on. Find someone real. Someone who didn't come with all this baggage. You don't get to decide what I need protection from. I know that now. Maria stood, walked to the window. Catherine said something that stuck with me. She said my father's death benefited you more than anyone. That's true. She's not entirely wrong, is she? You got the companies? The control. The merger. All of it. Yes. Maria turned to face him. So here's what I need from you. If you really love me, if any of this is real, I need you to prove it. Not with words. With action, what do you want me to do? Give it up. All of it. The shares. The control. The merger. Sign everything back to me. No conditions. No clauses. No protections for yourself. Daniel went very still. Maria, if I do that, I lose everything I've built. My company would collapse without the Chen Industries merger. I'd be starting from nothing. I know. You're asking me to choose between you and everything I've worked for. No, Maria's eyes held his. I'm asking you to prove that I'm not another business transaction. That you love me more than you love power. The silence stretched between them. Maria could see the war in Daniel's eyes. Everything he'd built. Everything he'd sacrificed for. His entire identity tied up in success and control. And she was asking him to walk away from it all. Okay, he said finally. I'll do it. I'll sign everything over to you. Tomorrow, we'll have the lawyers draw up the papers. Maria's breath caught. Just like that. Just like that. Daniel stood, closing the distance between them. Because you're right. If I can't prove that you matter more than everything else, then nothing I say means anything. You'll lose your company. I'll rebuild. I did it once. I can do it again. You could end up with nothing. I'd rather have nothing and have you than have everything and lose you. His hand reached for hers, hesitant. But Maria, I need to know something. If I do this, if I give up everything, is there a chance for us? A real chance? Maria looked at their joined hands. 2 years of distance, weeks of revelations, days of truth unraveling. I don't know, she said honestly. But I know this is the only way we can start to find out. Daniel nodded. Then it's worth it. The next morning, lawyers filled the mansion. Papers were drawn. Signatures were placed. Daniel signed away controlling interest in both companies. Transferred shares. Dissolved agreements. By noon, Maria Chen owned everything. Daniel stood in the now empty living room, looking smaller somehow, lighter. How does it feel? Maria asked. Terrifying. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. But honest. For the first time in 2 years, everything between us is honest. Maria's phone buzzed. Jennifer calling. I need to take this, she said, stepping into the hallway. Maria, thank God.
Dad.
Jennifer's voice was frantic. Turn on the news. Right now. Maria pulled up a news site on her phone. Her blood turned to ice. Breaking news banner. Daniel Wright's photograph. The headline, Tech Billionaire under investigation. FBI probe links Wright to embezzlement scheme. She rushed back into the living room. Daniel was staring at his own phone, his face white. It's Catherine, he said hollowly. She's releasing fabricated documents to the press, making it look like I embezzled funds from your father's company before his death. But that's not true. You have proof. Proof that will take months to present in court. By then, my reputation will be destroyed. Any chance of rebuilding my company will be gone. He looked at her. Maria, if you reinstate the shares to me right now, before this story breaks completely, we can fight this together. Your ownership of Chen Industries gives us credibility. But if I'm seen as having given everything away right before an investigation, it looks like you were trying to hide assets. Exactly. Maria's mind raced. If she gave back the shares, she'd never know if Daniel really would have sacrificed everything. But if she didn't, she might be destroying an innocent man's last chance at survival. What do you need me to do? She asked. Daniel looked at her with something like wonder. You believe me? I believe the man who just gave up everything would tell me the truth. Tell me how to fix this. We hold a press conference, Daniel said. Together, we present the real evidence. The forensic reports on Catherine's forgeries. The FBI investigation I initiated into the money laundering. Everything. That will expose your anxiety medication. Your brother's death. Everything you've kept private. I know. His voice was steady. But I'm done hiding. If we're going to do this, we do it with complete transparency. Maria made a decision. Then we do it right. Call your lawyers. Call the media. We hold the conference at Chen Industries headquarters. In 2 hours, the next hours were chaos. Lawyers scrambling. Evidence compiled. Maria changed into a navy suit that had been her father's favorite. Armor for battle. They arrived at Chen Industries to a swarm of reporters. Camera flashes. Shouted questions. Daniel's hand found hers as they walked through the crowd. Inside the conference room, they faced dozens of journalists. Maria stepped to the microphone first. My name is Maria Chen Wright. 2 years ago, I married Daniel Wright under complicated circumstances. Today, I'm here to address false allegations made against my husband. She laid out everything. The forged will, Catherine Lynn's manipulation, the security footage proving Daniel's innocence in her father's death, the FBI investigation Daniel had initiated. My husband gave up everything this morning, she continued. He signed away his controlling interests in both companies to me. Not because he was hiding assets, but because I asked him to prove his love was real. And he did. Daniel stepped forward. I've made mistakes. I entered into a business arrangement that should never have involved a marriage. I profited from a desperate man's final act. But I did not kill Robert Chen. I did not embezzle funds. And I will fight these false allegations with every resource I have. Mr. Wright, a reporter called out. Why should we believe you when you've admitted to manipulating Mrs. Wright? You shouldn't, Daniel said simply. You should believe the evidence. Which is why I'm releasing everything. Every document. Every contract. Every piece of communication between Robert Chen and myself. Let the truth speak for itself. Another reporter. Mrs. Wright, you now control both companies. Why are you defending the man who bought you? Maria's jaw tightened. He didn't buy me. My father made a desperate decision. Daniel accepted a business arrangement. What happened after is complicated. But I'm standing here because I've seen the evidence. I've lived with this man for 2 years, and I know the difference between guilt and innocence. The press conference lasted another hour. Questions, answers, evidence presented. When it ended, Maria and Daniel retreated to a private office. That was brave, Daniel said quietly. It was necessary. Maria's hands were shaking. Daniel, there's something I need to tell you. Before she could continue, the door burst open. Catherine Lynn stood there, flanked by security. You need to leave, Daniel started. But Catherine held up her hand. I'm not here to cause trouble. Her voice was different, broken. I'm here to confess. Maria and Daniel exchanged glances. Confess to what? Maria asked. Catherine sank into a chair. I switched your father's medication. Not Daniel, me. The room went silent. I loved your father, Catherine continued, tears streaming down her face. For 20 years, I loved him. When he chose this marriage arrangement over my advice, over me, I couldn't accept it. I thought if he died, the agreement would be void. Maria would be free. Daniel would have nothing. You killed him. Maria's voice was hollow. I never meant for it to happen so fast. I thought his condition would deteriorate slowly, that doctors would catch it, that he'd have time to change his mind about the arrangement. But his heart gave out in days, and by then, it was too late. Why are you telling us this now? Daniel demanded. 'Cause I've been watching you these last few days. Watching you give up everything for love. Something I could never do. Catherine looked at Maria. Your father would have been proud of you, and ashamed of me. I need to face what I've done. Catherine stood. The police are waiting downstairs. I told them everything. I just needed you to hear it from me first. Security escorted her out. Maria and Daniel stood in stunned silence. She killed him, Maria whispered. All this time it was her. Daniel pulled Maria into his arms. She didn't resist. For the first time in 2 years, she let herself lean into him. Let herself accept comfort from the man who was supposed to be her enemy. I'm so sorry, he murmured into her hair. I'm sorry you lost your father. I'm sorry for the arrangement. I'm sorry for all of it. Maria pulled back to look at him. Daniel, before Catherine came in, I was going to tell you something. What? I was going to say that I don't want to give you back the shares. His face fell. Maria, let me finish. I don't want to give them back because I don't want our relationship to be about business anymore. I want to sell both companies. Take the money and start something new. Something that's ours, not tainted by contracts and arrangements and death. You want to walk away from your father's legacy? I want to build my own legacy. With you. If you'll have me. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I'm saying I've fallen in love with you. Somewhere between the distance and the revelations and the truth, I've fallen in love with the man who gave up everything. The man who faces his anxiety every day. The man who tried to protect my father, even when it cost him. Maria. Her name was a prayer on his lips. Oh. But I need to know this is real. That we can start over. Build something honest. We can, Daniel said. We will. I'll spend every day proving it to you. No more secrets. No more secrets. Maria smiled, and for the first time in 2 years, it reached her eyes. Then kiss me. For real this time. Not as part of an arrangement. As my choice. Daniel cupped her face in his hands, his touch gentle and reverent. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Their lips met, and it was nothing like the cold kiss at their wedding. This kiss was fire and promise and healing. This was two broken people choosing to be whole together. When they finally pulled apart, Daniel rested his forehead against hers. What do we do now? Now? Maria laughed softly. Now we figure out how to actually be married. The real way. The right way. I don't know how to do that. Neither do I, but we'll learn together. 6 months later, Maria stood in a small art gallery in downtown Los Angeles. Her wellness app had launched to critical acclaim. Daniel's new startup, built from scratch, was gaining traction. They'd sold both Chen Industries and Wright Enterprises, using the money to fund ventures they actually believed in. The mansion was gone, replaced by a smaller home they'd chosen together. The expensive furniture was sold, placed by pieces they picked out on weekend trips to flea markets. Grace still worked for them. But now she was family, not just an employee. Jennifer visited weekly, still skeptical, but warming up to Daniel's transformation. And Daniel was learning to live with his anxiety openly, learning to ask for help, learning that vulnerability wasn't weakness. Mrs. Wright, he said, coming up behind her and wrapping his arms around her waist. The gallery owner wants to know if we're interested in that painting. Mr. Wright, she said, leaning back into him. I thought we agreed you'd stop buying me things. I'm not buying it for you. I'm buying it for us. For our home. Maria turned in his arms. Our home. I like the sound of that. I love you, Daniel said. Not because of a contract. Not because of an arrangement. Just because you're you, I love you too, Maria replied. For exactly the same reason, they kissed in the middle of the gallery. Surrounded by art and possibility and the future they were building together, outside, the Los Angeles sun set over the city, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. A new day ending. A new life beginning. Sometimes the hardest truths led to the most beautiful. Transformations. Sometimes love grew from the most unlikely places. And sometimes the greatest sacrifice was learning to be honest. With each other, with yourself. With what you truly wanted, Maria. Chen and Daniel Wright had been brought together by manipulation, and death and desperate circumstances. But they chose to stay together, and that choice made all the difference. The end.